A little over a week ago, our beloved Terry Hunt died. Many of you knew her. Terry was our children's minister for many years. She had ALS, so we walked with her as she lost control of her body, and she died so beautifully, just giving herself over to the Lord. And of course, when we lose someone that we love, it's odd the things that come to mind when we're remembering them. All this past week, I've been thinking about Terry's bread pudding. A number of years ago, I realized that I can't eat a lot of sugar. It makes me grumpy and tired. It's not really worth it. But when Terry made me her bread pudding, all my rules just went out the window. It was literally one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life. And once she learned about how much I loved it, she started making these enormous vats of it. And then I would eat the entire vat of bread pudding, which was horrible. But after she passed away, it's almost like I can taste it. It just comes to my mind. This congregation is full of people with so many gifts, and one of the things that I find frustrating is I look out at this talented, intelligent group of people, and I want this one to meet that one and that one to get to know this one, but I don't know how to orchestrate all that. You all are so good at so many things. Just a few months ago, I had to move out of my house and buy furniture for the first time in my life. I went to a Ashley's furniture store. Where else do you go, right? And I took a picture of a sofa, and I was smart enough to send it to Scott Hill, who's our interior designer here at the Cathedral. He is so talented and so kind. I sent him the picture, and immediately he sent back a text saying, "Oh, honey, I'm coming." I didn't end up buying that sofa. Jesus says that we are the salt of the earth. Jesus never says anything accidentally. And whenever he gives us an image like that, it has such deep, rich meaning. Most importantly, in Jesus' time, salt was really valuable. It was often used as currency in place of money. So I think the first thing that Jesus is telling us is that you are precious. You are valuable. You are worthy. You're worth something. You know, it's amazing the places that we find salt. We find it in the ocean with all the waves all over the place. We find it buried in salt mines. It's in difficult places. It's hard to get at. But when you add it to something, it enhances its flavor. I believe that each and every one of you has a unique essence, something really important that was created by God, and you're supposed to add it to this world in order to enhance the world and bring out its true nature. One of my favorite theologians and pastors as Will Willimon, who I've read for years, but this past week I came across a story about his childhood. He was born in South Carolina in the deep rural South, and he had a good family, a mother and uncles and aunts and brothers, but no one ever talked about his dad. One time he tried to ask his mom about his dad, and she got red in the face and walked out of the room, so he realized it was a taboo subject. He had one memory, though, one memory of a man smoking a pipe. That was all he had of his dad. When Will was 15 years old, he found a letter in a desk drawer in his house. The return address was the U.S. prison in Atlanta, Georgia. Correctional facility. It was a letter from the warden. When Will opened it, the warden was praising the exemplary behavior of Robert Willimon, his father. That was how he realized that his dad was incarcerated. But he never brought it up. He went on to high school and went to Wofford College in 1966 in Spartanburg, South Carolina. In his sophomore year, a great preacher came for their religion week by the name of Carlisle Marney, and Will listened to him intently. But he was mostly busy partying and having fun with his friends, and they all decided to pool their resources and go to Amsterdam for the summer because that's where you can really party. So Will found himself driving around in this blue VW Bug in Amsterdam, and his buddies decided to go off and drink, and he decided he was tired of that. So he went to a museum. He was standing in front of a sketch, a self-portrait by Rembrandt, and he noticed there was a man standing next to him. He looked over, and it was the preacher, Carlisle Marney, who had spoken at his college. He said, "Hello, how are you?" And the preacher said, "Who the hell are you?" He said, "I'm a student at Wofford College. You know, you spoke there this past spring." "Oh, yeah." Carlisle said, "Why are you here?" Will said, "Well, I just came to have fun with my friends." The preacher looked at him up and down and said, "That's not the truth. I think you're lying." Will said, "What do you mean? I came here to have fun." "No, I don't think that's why you came here," the preacher said. "Well, why did you come here?" Will asked. "Well, I came to say I'm sorry to the Jews. I've been visiting all the synagogues, asking for forgiveness on behalf of the church." "Oh," Will said. "Son, come on, let's go get a drink." So this preacher ended up sitting down at a bar with Will and ordering him a bourbon, which he liked. "Son, why are you here?" he asked again. "Well, I must say, sir, that when I heard you preach, a thought did enter my mind that maybe I should go to seminary, but I can't because my dad's in prison." The preacher said, "Son, there are no coincidences. This is God's doing. And I'll tell you that 3/4 of the preachers, their dads are either drunks or in prison. So just join the club. In fact, it's the rough stuff that makes you who you are anyway." It's the rough stuff that makes you who you are anyway. the tossing of the waves, salt buried deep in the mines. Salt is found in difficult places. And maybe the difficult parts of your life are what have crafted you into who you are. In fact, if you look at a grain of salt, they're like snowflakes. They're incredibly unique, each and every one of them, just like you, beautifully made. If you look under a microscope, beautiful. Salt can be used to heal, you know. My son had a canker sore this week, and you're supposed to slosh salt water around in your mouth. And you can heal. You can heal other people. Salt also preserves things, helps them live longer. I think you can help other people live longer. It's amazing how unique and beautiful you are. Each and every one of you. You know, this past week I've been watching the news. I know you have too. And I've discovered that this is my thought. I don't think our system of government works very well anymore. And the reason why is that we are demanding that everyone be either a Democrat or a Republican, black or white, blue or red, I guess you could say. But what that does is it limits the huge variety and individuality of the human being. How could we possibly decide to be one thing or the other? It makes us simplify. It erases complexity. And it makes us antagonize each other. My son showed me a new website. It's called The Political Compass. It's a test you can take where you have to address all these complex issues and answer all these questions. And after you do, instead of calling you blue or red, it puts you on a big map, a big landscape. And you're located somewhere on the landscape. And so is everyone else. And it's a much bigger, broader picture of who we are. Each grain of salt is so beautiful and so intricately made. And so powerful in its taste. But it's no good by itself. It doesn't do any good sitting by itself. It's only when you add it to the world that it brings out the flavor. So what are your gifts? What about the eccentric parts of yourself? What about the parts that make people laugh? What about your sense of humor or your smile? Or maybe you love to paint or sing or play the banjo. When it's your funeral and people are remembering you, what will they say? What's your unique individual flavor? Do you realize that God wants you to bring it out and give it away and add it to everything? That's why you were made. Not to conform to someone's idea of who you're supposed to be, but to be that weird radical person that does things differently. That's what we need. That's what the world needs. We need innovators. We need creative people. We need people that think outside the box. We need spice. Oh, and when you add salt to the bread of life, now that's a powerful combination.